Hello and welcome back to Redirecting. In this particular segment, I am going to be talking about the role of women, okay? The role of women from a number of different perspectives, right? I'm going to title this On Your Back, On Your Knees, and in the Kitchen. And I think I'm going to add to that with tape over your mouth. And there's a reason why. Over the years, we have gotten a lot of requests from brothers to silence me. They contact my husband, they contact me directly, they come on his channel, they come on my channel. We have gotten messages through our email, messages on Facebook, brothers who feel that I am out of bounds for even speaking. And they use the favorite scripture, let the women keep silent in the assemblies. Okay, that's one of their favorite scriptures. It amazes me how a lot of people, a lot of these teachers don't even like Paul's teaching, the Apostle Paul, but they love that particular verse. Okay, now I'm not going to get into trying to justify why I do what I do in this particular video. I'm just going to expound on it a bit. And the reason why is we have a lesson that is almost 3 hours long, packed with scriptures, right? And so I'm going to refer you to that video so that you can see that there is more than a couple of scriptures about letting the women keep silence, right? There are dozens of other scriptures that can totally debunk that belief. And it's on the Watchman Reports channel, and it's entitled, Is There a Law in the Torah? It actually says, Is there a law against women teachers? That's the title of the video. And so if you want a lot more scriptures than just the one that is being circulated and recycled over and over, you can go and check out that video. And you can also check out one that we did on Priscilla and Aquila. Okay, that was a husband and a wife that taught in their own assembly. Okay, so that part out of the way. Now, the reason I'm doing this video is because there has been a sharp uptick, more than an uptick, in women who have been contacting me as well. Now, these women, we had one show up in our chat a few weeks ago. I've had some show up on Facebook, sending me messages on Facebook, and we've had some send direct emails to through our website, and they titled it Silence, Silence. And they directed it towards me, in terms of I should not be speaking. And of course, they used the same scriptures that a lot of the brothers used. And they said, look, we prefer to hear your husband teach, not you. Okay. First of all, I agree with what my son said. He said, first of all, it's very arrogant of these women to contact another woman who is teaching alongside her husband and say that you're just giving me some sisterly advice, or that you're giving me some biblical advice, or that you felt led to do this. It's very arrogant from what my son was saying, and I agree with him, for you to actually think that you should have a voice in how we do things in our ministry and in our home. If you believe that it is your place to be on your back, on your knees, and in the kitchen, if that is your calling as a wife, if that is what the Most High has placed upon your table to do, being on your back, on your knees, and in the kitchen, then wear it with a crown of glory. Okay, if that is your position. Now, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with being on your back, on your knees, and in the kitchen, because even us married women are on our back, on our knees, and in the kitchen too. But there is much more. There is much more to our existence than being on our back, on our knees, and in the kitchen. The Most High definitely has a calling for the daughters of Zion that is far beyond what your husband or your leader or your teacher has convinced you of, sisters. Okay, so you gave me your advice. Some of you gave me your warnings. Some of you titled it warning. Some said silence. Some said advice, sisterly advice. Now I'm giving you the same thing. Get into the scriptures, and all that getting, get understanding. And just like I referred the brothers to the video, Is There a Law Against Women Teachers, I suggest that you go and look at that too and study out those scriptures that are in that video, and even the explanations or the understandings of the scriptures that Paul gave, right? Because if you keep reading in Paul's writings and not just stop there, he tells everyone to entreat the daughters of Zion, or these sisters that are fellow laborers in the gospel. How can you be a fellow laborer in the gospel if you are silent? Okay, so if you're going to read some of Paul's writings as it relates to women, read the rest of them too. Okay, but it doesn't stop with Paul, because it didn't begin with him. This is why whenever you ask anyone to show in the Torah, in the law of the Most High, show a commandment where the Most High says that women are to keep silent, no one can ever produce such a law. Okay, but anyway, I'm not going to harp on that too much. I want to refer you to that video. So instead of having one or two scriptures, you will have dozens that completely debunk that theory. But as for sisters, there are many roles of sisters, right? Many roles. I don't believe that we are all to do the same thing. We were not all given the same calling. You see, everyone wants to say or claim that they are a virtuous woman, right? But if you really look closely at the passage of a virtuous woman, this woman is off the chain. She is not someone who just stays on her back, on her knees, and in the kitchen. Is she? No, she is not. The virtuous woman has so many layers to her. So many layers. This woman is out here buying land. The scripture says she considers a field and she buys it. She is in the marketplace selling her goods. She is not on her back and on her knees in the kitchen all the time saying, yes, massa. She's not somewhere sitting off in the corner waiting for her next set of instructions from her husband. Now, many brothers will consider this video to be feminism because they are trying to deflect from the truth of what the word says. There are some very powerful scriptures that talk about our sisters. A lot of brothers don't like to deal with the story of Judith, not Judah, Judith. Very powerful story, in which we talked about that in that 3-hour-long video. If you don't want to sit through 3 hours, just watch it a little at a time. You will be very blessed by that video. Our sister Judith, and there was actually a brother who pointed this out the other day. I don't know if he saw our video or not. We did the video 2 or 3 years ago. But he said that there were some very powerful sisters in the scripture too. And he made note that many times when the men would not stand up to fight, that the women would. And Judith was one such case where the men of Israel actually got afraid of these approaching armies. They were afraid. They were like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? I'm sorry, family. I had to do that because literally this is what the story is about. Okay? The men were afraid because of the approaching armies. And so Judith said, I tell you what, let me take care of this. And she called the elders of Israel together to have a meeting. She said, look, I need to talk to you all. This is what the Most High has instructed me to do. And don't inquire of me. She actually said, don't inquire of me of what he instructed me to do. But I'm going to go ahead and do it. Me and my maidservant here, we're going to go and take care of this. You all don't have to worry about this. Don't sit in fear. I'm going to handle this. Okay? So basically, what she did, when she went and she approached this army of people that were going to attack our people, she used biblical wisdom to overthrow these enemies. And she didn't have to sell her body. She didn't have to prostitute herself. But she used the biblical wisdom from the Most High Yah to take these people down. And when it was all said and done, Judith took her sword and she lifted up the head of this leader, chopped his head off, and she brought the head back. And she handed it to the men of Israel and said, here is the head of the leader. I decapitated him. I cut it clean off of his body. Now you all can handle your business. Because the army, his army, is now afraid because of what I have done. And she said, I want this to be known and to go down in history that a woman of Israel did this. So for those of you Those women who believe that your only job is to be on your back all the time, on your knees and in the kitchen, baking and cooking and doing all of that. If that is your calling, so be it. But that was not Judith's calling. The Most High had a greater mission for her. She was a powerful woman of the Most High Yah. So many others. There were teachers and prophetess in the Bible. When you are a prophetess of the Most High, you speak under the divine inspiration of the Most High Yah. Okay? You speak. So if you're going to speak under the divine inspiration of the Most High Yah, how is it that you have to remain silent? So to the sister who told me I need to remain silent, how can you then speak as a prophetess of Yah if you are to remain silent? You see, the scripture says, in the last days, I am going to pour out my Ruach HaKodesh on all flesh. Your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, which is speak under the divine inspiration of the Most High Yah. A lot of people have confused prophesying or prophecy with just foretelling the future, like you're some fortune teller. This is a person who speaks what thus saith Yah. Yes, it could be something futuristic, but it can also mean something right now. It can also mean something of a word that he needs to relay to a person. This is why it also says that when a woman prays or prophesies, that she is to cover her head, right? Not cover this head. It's not telling you to put some fabric or some cloth on your head that was made in China or made in Thailand or made in Taiwan or made in India. This is not what it's saying when it says cover your head. It was established early on in that passage that the man is the head of the woman. And so if you continue on in that passage, when the Most High established the hierarchy, it says that Hamashiach is the head of man and the man is the head of woman. Later on in the passage, it says when a woman prays or prophesies, she is to cover her head. Her head was already established. It was already established what head it was referring to when it says that the man is the head of woman. When you look in other translations, it actually tells you what that head means. It actually says authority. So Hamashiach is the authority over man, and man is the authority over woman. So if you remove that word head, you get a better understanding. This is for you sisters who think that we should be silent, that we should be quiet, and that you want to warn other sisters and try to tell them that they should not be like Priscilla and Aquila in the husband and wife duo that taught the scriptures, that they should not be like Anna or Huldah, or that they shouldn't be prophetess like the prophetess Deborah, who was also a judge over Israel. How can you be a judge over Israel if you are to be silent? How is she going to speak? It didn't say that she was the judge over women, but she was the judge over Israel. And how is she going to judge a situation where a brother is involved if she is to be silent? What is she going to do? Sign language. Hey, brother. Now, I don't know sign language, y'all. I'm just doing my hands so y'all can get the point that I'm trying to make. Is she going to do sign language to this brother since there are sisters out here commanding other sisters to be silent? If we are to be silent, how can you judge? Huh? And many like to devour. There were no brothers available at the time. This is why the Most High chose her. You gonna tell me that out of all of our people back during that time that there were no qualified brothers? It couldn't have been just that the Most High chose this woman because she was qualified. There is no proof whatsoever that it wasn't because she was qualified. None whatsoever. She was obviously qualified. And this is why the Most High chose her for the position. Deborah had a husband. You see, why didn't he choose her husband? For whatever reason, he chose her to be the judge over Israel. So silence is not a mandate of the Most High Yah, but it's your mandate because you misunderstand scripture. You see, in the last days, the Most High says, I will pour out my Ruach HaKodesh on all flesh. Your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. So when a woman prophesies or when she prays, she is to cover the authority or her head, which is her husband, because he cannot stand in the way of a relationship between you and the Most High. So if the Most High gives you a word to speak, at that point you cover his authority. Not this, okay? Not cover your head with cloth. Cover your head as in the authority of your husband when you pray or prophesy. So in other words, when you pray also, do you have to get your husband's permission? Now, there are those false teachings going out there. A few years ago, I spoke to a sister. I don't know if she's going to see this, but she told me she came out of the Christian church. She was a woman who prayed. She's a woman who had a close relationship with the Most High Yah. And she had been in this thing for decades, right? But her husband was new even to the Bible, right? But because he was a man, because he has male organs, he believes that he is to get her prayers from her and take them to the Father. She said her husband didn't give her permission to pray anymore, that she was no longer allowed to pray because he is to get her prayers and take them to the throne for her. Now, if that is what you believe that your position as a woman is, to be on your back and in the kitchen and not on your knees because your husband instructed you not to pray anymore, but to tell him what your prayer is so that he can take it, then wear that with pride. But don't try to enforce that in another woman's life or on other women. Do not teach other women that they have no voice when the Most High clearly has given a voice to the daughters of Zion. If that is what you feel your calling is, to just have babies, to be on your knees praying, to be in the kitchen, to have your lips zipped, if you believe that is your calling, again, wear it with great pride. But that is not the calling of every woman. You understand? Now, I felt the need to do this because there are many that are coming into the truth and they are confused about what they are supposed to be doing. They don't believe that the Most High deals with the daughters of Zion because this is what's being taught. The Most High even he said, this is what I say unto the daughters of Zion. I need you, the women of Judah, the daughters of Zion, to weep and wail and moan for the men because they have gone away backwards. I need you, the daughters of Zion, to do this. You see, the Most High deals with the daughters of Zion very closely, very closely. And it is the men who want to stifle that voice and to silence the women of the Most High Yah. Now, I'm going to go to that particular passage where the Most High calls for the mourning women. Okay, I want to read that because I want the sisters to understand that your relationship with the Most High cannot be one that is slighted by the traditions of men. They cannot be slighted by the traditions of men. And that is what people desire to do. You don't want to be like Ananias and Sapphira, where her husband went astray and she went astray with him. Okay? And what was said to her is the same men who carried your husband out of here are going to carry you out of here too. So if your husband goes astray and is trying to direct you away from the truth, away from the Most High Yah, you don't go along with that. You have to have your own relationship with the Most High Yah. You have to work out your own soul salvation with fear and trembling. No one is telling you to disrespect your husband. But what I am saying, if he goes astray, you don't go astray with him. That's why Ananias and Sapphira both met the same fate, because this was a woman who went after the error of her husband. Okay. So let me read this scripture as it relates to the daughters of Zion. Okay, this is in Jeremiah, the 9th chapter. Okay, I would suggest that you read the whole chapter, but I'm going to read just the portion that I'm going to focus on right here and right now for the daughters of Zion. Okay, listen, it says, consider now, call for the wailing women to come. Send for the most skillful of them. Let them come quickly and wail over us till our eyes overflow with tears and waters stream from our eyelids. The sound of wailing is heard from Zion. How ruined we are. Now great is our shame. We must leave our land because our houses are in ruins. Now, you women, hear the word of the Most High Yah. Open your ears ears to the words of his mouth. Let me read that again. It says, now you women, hear the words of the Most High Yah. Open your ears to the words of his mouth. So he is speaking to the daughters of Zion. Do you understand that? The Most High is speaking to you, daughters of Zion. Don't close your ears to what he has to say to you because some man told you that the Most High does not speak to the daughters of Zion and that he does not deal with the daughters of Zion. Right here, he is speaking to you. He is talking to you. And this is what he is telling you to do. He is telling you, teach your daughters how to wail. Teach one another how to lament. Death has climbed in through the windows and has entered into our fortresses. It has removed the children from the streets, the young men from the public squares. This is what Yahuwah declares. This is what Yahuwah declares to you, daughters of Zion. And he also says, this is what Yahuwah says. Let not the wise boast of their wisdom, or the strong boast of their strength, or the rich boast of their riches. But let the one who boast about this, that they have the understanding to know me, that I am Yahuwah, who exercises kindness, justice, and righteousness on earth. For in these I delight, declares Yahuwah. So again, daughters of Zion, don't listen to those wayward women who want you to be silent, who want you to turn a deaf ear to the voice of Yah and to turn your ears onto the instruction of wicked men. If someone is trying to turn you away from the truth of the Most High Yah, from what his word instructs you to do, which is to pray, to weep, to wail, to moan, to prophesy, to teach, to speak under the divine inspiration of the Most High Yah, if someone is trying to turn you away from that, you turn your ear away from that and give ear to what thus saith Yahuwah. I hope many of you can receive this message, but again, if you want to just stay on your back, on your knees, and in the kitchen, wear your calling with grace. But leave the rest of us alone, so that we may do what thus saith the Most High Yah. Because in this last day, the Most High is calling on the daughters of Zion. Are you ready to answer the call? Shalom, family. Be sure to ring the bell to be notified of new uploads on this channel, and also comment, share, like, and subscribe.